I sell jewelry too. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like I be flipping the watches and shit in Cleveland. That's my little lane. So you feel me? After I stop selling bows and trapping and shit, I'm like, fuck it, I'ma make some fast money, but I ain't trying to be looking for the police looking for me. You feel me? So order these watches from India, order these watches from Houston, you feel me, and then bring them back to the city.
What?
What if you got fucked up?
What if I got fucked?
Well, I said fucked up.
Oh, I said fucked.
Never mind. On the bed like Rey Mysterio. I've been talking about this shit every day, but they don't hear me.
This is Carlos Banks, a 28-year-old rising star in Cleveland's rap scene, who would be found brutally murdered in his own apartment in the early morning hours of December 29, 2024. But what makes this story absolutely chilling is what happened in the hours leading up to his death, when he ignored every single warning sign. Because you see, just hours before Carlos took his final breath, he was on Instagram Live with the very woman who community members and investigators now believe set him up for one of the most calculated robberies turned murders Cleveland has seen in recent years. His followers were desperately trying to tell him about this woman's dangerous past, but Carlos brushed it all off, claiming he already knew about her history. And that decision to ignore those red flags would cost him everything. But before we get to the horrifying details of what happened in that apartment, let me take you back to understand exactly who Carlos Banks was.
Ain't the same no more. My niggas did a lot in the cage. It ain't the same no more. Call my phone, but the number done changed. It ain't the same no more. Don't fool with niggas.
Carlos Banks, also known as Cash Banks or Cash Banks, wasn't just another aspiring rapper trying to make it out of his neighborhood. He was genuinely on the cusp of something bigger, something that made him a target for people who saw his success as an opportunity for their own gain. Born and raised in the streets of Cleveland, Ohio, Carlos represented everything about the modern hip-hop dream mixed with the harsh realities of urban life.
I was a project baby, running around in trenches, 7204 Garden Valley Port Road. That's my grandma's address, you feel me? I was the project baby walking around, you know what I'm saying, trenches like my boy Trap said, you know, Big Trap. I was walking around nappy head, snotty nose, you know, a little dusty. We shook back, now we here, you feel me? So
Carlos had genuinely lived through the struggle, experiencing periods of homelessness and what he called reckless living before channeling that pain and experience into his music. By mid-2023, Carlos was making serious waves with his breakout single 100 Shots, which had racked up over 107,000 views on YouTube. His Instagram following had exploded to over 34,000 followers, and he was connecting with fans through his raw storytelling and infectious beats that blended street authenticity with genuine musical talent. What made Carlos different from countless other rappers grinding in their hometowns was his work ethic and his vision.
funny, good dressing person. That's all I can say. I just clowned every day, did my work, and came to school fly as I could possibly be.
He wasn't shy about his ambitions either. Carlos openly expressed his desire to perform at major events like Rolling Loud, viewing his career as proof that hard work and unapologetic ambition could lift someone out of the projects and onto the world's biggest stages. But here's where his story gets even more tragic. Carlos had big plans for early 2025. He had announced he was dropping a new track called Bad on New Year's Day, just days after what would become his death. The track was ready, his fans were hyped, and everything seemed to be aligning for him to take that next step in his career. He was a father, he was respected in his community, and local journalists like Jalen King, who runs JP Digital TV, had interviewed him multiple times and ranked him among Cleveland's top 10 artists.
What's something you're not good at? Expressing my feelings. You feel me? I like to keep all that stuff tight, you know what I'm saying? Like if I feel a certain way, I'm gonna try to vibe the situation out and try to see where it goes, you feel me? But other than that, I'm not gonna tell somebody like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just kind of ease off. You know? So, and that's one of those things I ain't good at. I ain't good at telling somebody straightforward, like, fuck you.
This admission in one of his final interviews is haunting when you consider what was about to happen to him. Carlos admitted he wasn't good at expressing his feelings or telling people straight up when something was wrong. He preferred to vibe the situation out instead of confronting problems head on. And this personality trait, this reluctance to be direct about red flags and warning signs, may have played a role in why he didn't listen when his followers were desperately trying to warn him about the woman he was with on that fatal Instagram live session. Now, let's talk about the woman at the center of this entire controversy, the Instagram model and dancer, Lanisha Jones, an 18-year-old woman with a history so disturbing that people were frantically warning Carlos about her in real time, and he still didn't listen. And when I tell you about what this woman has allegedly been involved in before, you're going to understand exactly why his followers were losing their minds trying to get him to pay attention. Lanisha Jones isn't just some random woman who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. She's someone with a documented history of violence, theft, and situations that ended with people dead or robbed. According to community sources and local media investigations, Lanisha worked as an Instagram model and dancer. But here's the thing. There were no reported stable income sources for this lifestyle she was flaunting online. So where was the money coming from? That's the question that started making people suspicious long before Carlos Banks entered the picture. Back in 2017, Lanisha was involved in a murder case where she was initially charged with aggravated murder after her co-defendant stabbed a man who had allegedly assaulted her friend. Now, the charges against her were eventually downgraded to obstruction of justice after she cooperated with authorities, and she ended up on probation until September 2019. But here's what's wild about this situation. Platforms like World Star Hip Hop have linked her to appearances on the A&E show The First 48, which is literally a show about solving murders within the first critical 48 hours. This woman's involvement in violent crimes was literally televised for entertainment, and yet Carlos Banks apparently thought he could vibe out any danger she might pose. She's also been accused of stealing $20,000 from her ex-boyfriend. This woman allegedly believed her ex was cheating on her. Instead of just breaking up with him like a normal person, she allegedly decided to rob him of $20,000 as some kind of twisted revenge. Local platform JP Digital TV documented these allegations, including recordings where Lanisha's behavior and past were discussed in detail. The community journalist JP even hinted at broader exposures involving cold cases tied to dancers in the area, suggesting this might be part of a larger pattern of women luring men into vulnerable situations for robbery or worse. And on December 28, 2024, just hours before Carlos Banks would be found dead in his apartment, he and Lanisha appeared together on Instagram Live. Followers who knew about Lanisha's history were frantically commenting warnings about her past, desperately trying to alert Carlos to the danger he might be in. But Carlos allegedly dismissed all the warnings, claiming he already knew about her history. Those would be some of the last words he'd say to his followers before everything went dark.
At 4 a.m. on Sunday, police came to these apartments on Broadway Avenue in Cleveland's Slavic Village neighborhood. According to the medical examiner, 28-year-old Carlos Banks was found on the third floor.
When officers, arrived, they discovered the victim was shot.
Banks, also known as rapper Cash Banks, was found by police with gunshot wounds. First responders tried to save his life by doing CPR, but Banks was pronounced dead when EMS got there.
But the discovery of Carlos's body was just the beginning of understanding the horror of what had actually happened in those early morning hours. According to prosecutors and court documents, this wasn't a random act of violence or a burglary gone wrong. This was a calculated, planned attack that began with a kidnapping and ended with multiple gunshots.
Indicting a man in connection to the murder of Cleveland rapper Carlos Banks. Devon Jones facing 16 charges, including aggravated murder. Jones was arrested last month. Prosecutors say in December, Jones and others kidnapped a woman to get into Banks' apartment. Once inside, the group is accused of robbing Banks and then shooting him. He died at the scene.
Prosecutors allege that Devon Jones, a 25-year-old man who would later be indicted on 16 separate charges, including aggravated murder, and his accomplices, kidnapped a 30-year-old woman specifically to force entry into Carlos's building. This wasn't opportunistic, this was methodical. They needed that woman to get past security or get through doors, and they were willing to kidnap someone to accomplish their goal. Once they gained entry to his apartment, they robbed Carlos before shooting him multiple times, in the head, in the chest, and in the stomach. First responders arrived and immediately began performing CPR, desperately trying to save the young rapper's life. But it was too late. Carlos Banks was pronounced dead on the scene, and with his death went all those dreams of performing at Rolling Loud, all those plans to drop bad on New Year's Day 2025, all those aspirations of building something bigger than himself.
More than 34,000 followers on Instagram and multiple albums now streaming. The outpour of concern has been tremendous online. King tells me people have been contacting him with possible leads.
The people really believe because of his fame and his name and what he has, that it was a targeted attack because he is flashy on social media and he is an artist.
The community's response was immediate and powerful. People began flooding journalist Jalen King with possible leads and tips, all pointing towards one theory that seemed to make sense when you looked at Carlos's social media presence and his flashy lifestyle. He was targeted specifically because of his fame and the perception that he had money and valuables worth stealing. And this is where the controversy and speculation about Lanisha Jones became impossible to ignore, because she was the last person seen publicly with Carlos before this targeted, planned robbery murder took place. Now, in the immediate aftermath of Carlos's murder, when social media erupted with accusations pointing directly at Lanisha, she reportedly responded using a fake Instagram account, denying any involvement in the killing and pointing fingers at her mad ex instead. Why would an innocent person need to use a fake account to deny involvement? Why not just address the allegations directly from your real profile if you have nothing to hide? The use of a fake account to deflect blame only made community members more convinced that Lanisha had something to do with what happened to Carlos. Now here's the complicated part that makes this case so frustrating for people demanding justice. Official police reports and court documents don't actually name Lanisha Jones as a suspect. The authorities are treating this as a robbery-motivated killing, not explicitly as a jealousy-driven attack or a honey trap scenario. But the community isn't buying the official narrative because they can see what seems obvious when you connect the dots. Devon Jones wasn't arrested immediately. It took until January 16, 2025 for authorities to finally catch up with him in Pennsylvania, where he was arrested with narcotics seized during the apprehension. On February 4th, a grand jury indicted Devon Jones on 16 separate counts, and just 3 days later, his bond was set at $1 million. And this is where the case stands as of today, in this frustrating limbo that has left Carlos's family, friends, and fans demanding more answers. Authorities are actively seeking additional suspects, confirming that Devon Jones didn't act alone. There were multiple people involved in both the kidnapping and the murder. But who are these other suspects? And more importantly, to the community seeking justice, what role, if any, did Lanisha Jones play in setting up this entire deadly trap? While prosecutors are not pursuing the death penalty, a conviction could still mean life imprisonment for Devon Jones. But for many people following this case, one arrest isn't enough, not when the evidence suggests a coordinated attack involving multiple perpetrators, and not when the community has been pointing toward Lanisha Jones as a key figure in the setup from the very beginning. Carlos's family released a statement emphasizing that he is loved and asking for justice while dealing with their unimaginable grief.
Emotional night as family and friends remember a local musician murdered 1 week ago inside an apartment in the Slavic Village neighborhood. Michelle Nix has the story, new tonight.
A precious life, a rising star, murdered as he worked to make all of his dreams come true. How a family and community are remembering this local musician and rapper.
He had a very good life.
Yeah.
I wish it could have continued, you know.
Yeah.
We wanted to see him do greater things.
Highland Banks looked up to his brother Carlos Cash Banks in life and now honors him in death.
He was the best big brother in the world.
Really?
Yeah, he was awesome. He taught me a lot of stuff.
Cash loved every moment of his life, smiling, rapping, and recording his music. His star was definitely on the rise, according to his best friend and cousin, MDN Jado.
My cousin liked it getting money. He liked it taking care of his family and being flashy, so that's what he expressed in his music.
As loved ones gathered with blue balloons to remember the 28-year-old Cleveland man's accomplishments, they're also grieving his death. shot and killed in his own apartment on Broadway Avenue. But they're determined to keep the rapper's legacy alive through his music.
It's a lot of false narratives that's being painted. I just like everybody to let him rest and let the family mourn and let the situation be handled how it's supposed to be handled.
Cash Bank's first CD was supposed to drop on New Year's Day, but it was released on December 29th, the day he died. What he worked for now getting recognition on all the big music streaming services, according to family and friends. Johnny Spielberg was the rapper's personal cameraman.
He wanted to provide for his family. He wanted to be famous and be flashy. He was ambitious. I think that was one of the driving factors of our relationship.
Y'all ready?
1, 2, 3.
But Cash Banks was not just a local musician, brother, and friend. His star also shined in the eyes of a 7-year-old little boy as an awesome father.
My favorite thing was that he took me a lot of stuff.
And as police work to find his killer, loved ones through their grief and pain believe Cash will be their guardian angel, always watching over the ones he loved.
He wanted me, I wanted him. I wanted him, he wanted me so much.
Reporting in Cleveland, Michelle Nix, 19 News.
Vigils were held in Northeast Ohio, where community members gathered to remember a man who was more than just a rapper. He was a father, a friend, a supporter of others' dreams, someone who genuinely wanted to see everyone around him succeed. The posthumous release of Bad on streaming platforms served as a haunting reminder of what could have been. The track Carlos had been so excited to drop on New Year's Day 2025, now playing as a memorial instead of a celebration. His trial for Devon Jones was continued into September 2025, meaning the family would have to wait even longer for any sense of justice or closure. This case highlights the devastating risks that come with fame in the music industry, especially for independent artists who are building their success in neighborhoods where jealousy, greed, and violence can intersect in deadly ways. Carlos Banks was living proof that you could come from the projects, from nothing, and build something real through hard work and talent. But his story also serves as a tragic warning about the dangers of ignoring red flags, of brushing off warnings from people who care about you, and of underestimating the depths of violence that people will sink to when they see someone else's success as an opportunity for their own gain.
Ain't the same no more. My niggas did a lot in the cage. It ain't the same no more. Call my phone, but the number done changed. It ain't the same no more. Don't fool with niggas, these niggas be lame. It ain't the same no more. It ain't the same no more. I'd rather catch me a plane away from these lanes, away from these fuck niggas. Most of these niggas say they want some smoke, then it's up with us. We ride around with them pumps, nigga. We'll put you in the trunk with it. Catch him like with his Glock, we running the spot like the first of the month with it. But I need a bag for sure. Them niggas be broke, they sit on their ass, but they want a bag of dope. I walk in they trap, take over they trap, so them niggas mad for sure. And them niggas mad they broke. I make a bag for sure. I get cash for sure.
Let me know what you think in the comment section. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.